Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah, a little bit.
Did you finish the campaign?
No.
Oh,
No, man, open world games?
never.
Can't finish those.
That game transformed me.
This game's good.
Which one?
Good game.
Red Dead Redemption 2.
I still need to play that one someday.
Oh, goodness.
It's a good game.
All right, so I'm looking at the free polygon textures. Large smudges that almost look like marble. Light scratches, asphalt. I may just end up with some metal shrines. But the plaster's kind of cool. We'll look at that. Stone walls. So there's a lot of good free stuff here. I've inadvertently been subscribing to this for a while, so I've got a lot more textures from Polygon than just the free ones, but there's good stuff in the free version. So if you want your fountains and shrines to be strawberry glazed, they got you.
This was 350.
Huh?
I mean, 460.
Yeah. I mean, so I was able to delay it. Like I paused it for like 3 or 4 months, and then it kicked back on, and I was like, All right, so those are the freebies. I'm going to pop back here to Blender. There's the crazy looking floor that we ended up making out of the wall generator, wall factory, which once that's, so what is it called, extra objects? Then it was, let me get out of that. So under mesh, extras, wall factory was that guy. And there's beam builder, which makes like big metal beams, stars, pyramids, all these other things. Oh, teapot. I don't know about a sponge, but so wall factory is how I got that. It creates this kind of stuff, and there's about a bajillion settings here. You can go curved and radial. There you go. You got a nice igloo.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then as you change all these, it'll just get crazier, right? It'll add in. So I'm pretty sure this is just a geometry node add-on. So as we're changing these values, we're getting new stuff. Merge the blocks? Nah. But there's bajillions of settings in here for the openings even. So I got this guy. I don't know why he went upside down.
That's geometry nodes.
Yeah, I can add a bottom arch. Repeat it. So we've got it going all the way around. I don't know what this structure is at this point, but it's cool. Yeah, it's the medieval Death Star.
Oh, it's a whistle.
Actually, I might want to keep this. Kind of crazy. We like it. Yeah. Okay, and then as with everything, right, all those values go away because that was only on the initial creation. Now I'm going to damage it and watch my computer die, and that'll catch us up with yesterday or Tuesday. Look at that. I clicked the button. At least the mouse still works. So we're happy about that. As soon as that's done, we'll move on. I'll start doing some other poly models and showing some things. There we go. Look at that. OCD just adds in all the cool little deets. All right. I'm going to hide that guy because reasons. Hide that, even hide that. So you should get the polygon add-on. There's count details. I'm trying to find filtered, so I can filter all mine, but all mine are more than everyone else's. Is there a free category here? That would be, there we go, nice, free. There's the filter, so you won't have access to the other stuff anyway, but now we get these free polygon textures and models we can add on. I was going to show some of the kind of the higher poly stuff, that I was doing for Film Fest. So I'll add a cube, and then let's say I was going to turn this into an arch. So I'm going to go to 2, let me turn that on. And bevel that some. So I don't know, I'm doing a wall piece or whatever, but I want this to be really smooth and high poly. What we could do, right, because I don't want to see that on my high poly version, all these little jaggy edges. So I can go to the modifier and add subdivision surface, but then I get a beam, basically. But I can up the levels and I can get a smoother beam. But so what I can do is just have this, and this again, this is a non-destructive, like I can just take this thing off and I've got what I had to begin with. So I like those kind of modifiers, but I can retain the shape that I want and only have it smooth other parts by sharpening the edges. So I'll do this, I'm gonna turn this part off. I think we looked at that on Tuesday as well. So this like second little button in edit mode, so it'll show you the results of the modifier while you're in edit mode or not. We'll leave it on. I think it'll be interesting. Okay, so I'm gonna go to edge mode here and I'm gonna start grabbing some edges. And I want these edges to remain sharp. Probably this one too, and this one. I think the whole top I would like to be sharper. I just want to smooth the parts in the middle there. So I think it's Shift E, yep. And then you can drag your mouse back and forth and you'll end up with this edge crease factor. So if you like wanted it just to be like, I don't know, halfway on that part, you go to 0.5, but I'm gonna crank it all the way to 1. You can see it's starting to restore some of the original shape that I wanted. I'm going to want more. I think I'm going to want all the way down here. So I'm going to grab that whole edge loop. Alt. Grab that. Alt. Grab that. Okay. Same thing. Shift E. Yeah. And so that's basically what the shrine is about. This is an ancient shrine to an arcade. And sharpen that guy. So probably want to sharpen that one in the middle. But what I ended up doing, auto smooth on, I've smoothed these out a lot. I did a very rough bevel on there, but with shade smooth, so you can see that outline. Yeah, that's even better. But then with that on, we just smoothed all those out. So you can control where we smooth and where we don't. Now, the other part of the problem is you're still going to end up with geometry everywhere. So we've increased the geometry all around it, but we've added control for what we want smooth. And so on stuff like this guy where I had like these kind of specific arches and stuff I wanted, and you maybe can't see it from here, but like this whole fender well thing, stuff like that was really helpful. Now, I'm just going to turn that on. So back to the polygon stuff. I was going to look at some of the nodes and things that came with that. So we're filtered to free, rustic gold. That sounds fun. Guess we could do bricks just for the sake of the tiling that I want to do. So there's drop downs here depending on the size of the material. That's a free 8K material. That's kind of all right. Let's go stupid. I mean, fancy and download the full 8K. Yeah. So that's downloading. Okay, and now I've got this guy selected. I'm going to make a material slot. And then just apply this. Fantastic. Love that. I love when we get a warning. Means we did something fun. Am I on cycles? I'm on cycles. It's CPU. Did it apply? Nope. I wonder if I can just apply it straight to it without a slot. No. Fantastic. I love this. Yeah, I did this like 100 times last week, and now it won't work. Let's go with a 2K, you know, just for fun. Every live demo ever.
Yeah.
Yep. Hey, the thing I want to show you doesn't work. Why the cycle renders like feature set? Okay, let me go to one that I know is working. I'm just setting there. All right, we'll try this. Wow. Okay, I don't know what's going on in that other scene. Okay, so we apply it here. One thing I wanted to show was that these are fully shaded materials. So if I come over here to the shading, we've got a whole graph. So here's our material that's usually just a plain white. They've got slots for all the textures, so base color, ambient occlusion, metallic, roughness, normal, all the fun stuff, even the displacement that we're not even using. And the fun part I wanted to show was here. So they've got this texture coordinate UV mapping, which you can just apply to whatever, but they've got it as part of this material. So zoom in on this guy. My UV is still the same. It's still just like the cross of the cube. But in the shader with that mapping, I can scale it so that it tiles my material without me having to make my UV go beyond the limits of the UV editor. So that's a cool thing to do. And then using that setup is how I done. Floor, the frame, we'll do the frame. Oh, this is before I started doing all the baking. Fantastic. Okay, well, I'll just show the whole thing. All right, hide that guy. So the final thing is on this is, yeah, if it makes any sense at all, come to the cube back here in layout. And I'm going to make a second material slot for this. And then I don't know what we're going to blend in on top of that concrete. I guess we'll just blend the brick over it. But 2K this time. Okay, so that's now in the second slot. But all of our polys are set to the first one. You can see there, it's on there. There we go. And so now the blending that I was doing, I'll just try and set that up. So here I'm on this is the concrete wall cladding. I can see that there. I'm going to go select the second texture set. And I don't need this, but I'll take everything else. Oof, how far out do I have to zoom? All right, so I'm going to just grab a bunch of these. There we go. Say I want all those. Copy, so Control C. Flip back up to my other. Paste those in. So now all of those textures are in this shader graph and I can start mixing them. So I'm gonna grab this guy, move him over here. It'll let me move, there we go. And oh, that's fantastic. We'll do it up here. There we go. Screencast keys won't work here. Whatever. All right, so I'm going to Shift A to make a new thing. Let's go mix. So I want a color mix or mix color. Jam that guy in here-ish. And I've got to do that for all of the maps, but we'll just show the color for now. So we've got ambient occlusion and color coming out of the brick already and being mixed together nicely. So I'm going to drag that into, it gets fun, into slot A of the mix, and then I'll drag the other color into B. This output will go back to our material. And by default, the factor is doing half. So this is like half and half right now. You can see the little dots from the concrete wall. And I can crank that up all the way to the concrete or all the way back to the brick. So that's fun. Now to mix those via texture paint, I'm going to add in a texture node. So Shift A. I'm going to do an image texture, and then I'll make a new image texture, and these are the ones like the normals and everything else that we got to save. So we'll just call it a color blend of the, brick and concrete. And I'll make those 2K. I think we'll start at white. So there we go. We got this new image here. And its color will be where we blend. So at white, we've fully got the concrete going. So that's just the color. You do the same setup for the normals, for the displacements, for the whatever, roughness. And if you do them all together, all keyed off of the same image, then everything mixes nicely. But we'll just show the color for now. So we've got this going. This color blend is selected here. So if I come over to texture paint now, whoop, that's too much. All right. So texture paint comes up. We can see our color blend. Since I had it selected before, it's still selected in this new tab. So you can see that there if you want. I think probably a softer brush works best for this. Get a smear, just to paint soft. And we can just darken a little bit, or these don't blend well together. So this is kind of a dumb example. But yeah, so you can pull the strength down to like something else. Just play with the values. Maybe we've got some brick peeking through here. And so that's how you can get blended materials going. When I was using the charred wood, that was kind of fun. So I think it's in certain parts. These are just like the old Photoshop blends, right? So I did like a multiply or a color burn, and like it really made those come in more. Play with the sizes, colors, gradients. Also, that's just a straight blend. The other thing you can do with these is use a texture. So you can use grunge or scratch or whatever textures you find online, or we can just use some of the stuff that Blender has built in, like clouds or distorted noise. We'll just use clouds. And so this is now the texture on my brush. And so instead of getting this like I'm just painting straight across, come back here to my active tool, and you can see it kind of overdoes it because I went to color burn. There we go. Well, yeah, again, because of the two maps we're using, you don't see the subtleties of it, but using that texture makes it a little cooler, makes it a little more subtle. Now it's not even doing the thing. So use that if you can, if you must, if you will. And then if you do something like this, where you're blending materials for the purpose of your fountain, shrine, whatever, then we'll need to eventually bake that down. So you don't have to change the poly count or anything. You can just I'll do this from layout. Right, so let's just say, for whatever reason, I like this. Obviously, I'm crazy. Actually, I think the bricks are too big, so I'm gonna go change that just a bit before I do that. So again, I can come to the projection mapping and make that tile better. Yeah, I still hate it, but it's it's not as bad. I don't hate it as much. So tile that. This is the one with the blended materials on it. So I'm just going to Shift D and escape. And so that's my copy now that I want to bake to. So instead of cube, let's call it cube baked. We'll just leave him in place. All right, so for cube baked, I'm pulling his materials off, and he's going to get a brand new material that we're going to make. And so we'll call it baked mess. And then go to the shading. And so for baked mess, we're going to set up basically what he had before. Again, depending on what you're baking, right? If you're baking normal, if you're baking roughness, you'll need texture maps for all of those. But for now, I'm just going to do a texture map or an image texture for the color because that's the only thing we blended. So I'll drag that guy over here. New baked color mess. Okay, so again, that's selected. So baked color mess is what we've got showing here, and we can just do the bake from the shading tab, which I think is easier. And so we go to rendering and cycles, and this again what we did last week, bake. We just want to do the diffuse for the color. We don't want the light, we just want the color selected to active, so I'll set that up. Image textures, yeah, let's leave everything else the same. So here in the hierarchy, cube baked, and then I'll shift click cube, and so that's now selected to active, and I'll just bake. And I'll just bake. There we go. So this is the new map. All right, we just made this brand new texture from other textures blended together. So that's what you need to do if you're doing blending, or if you've just used like complex materials from shader node and you need those baked down. So I had to do that for the burnt out hut that I had open to get that into an older version of Blender that we can use for Film Fest. So it's the same thing I did, just baked them all down. And then do a bake per if you're doing normal, roughness, whatever else. Cool. How are the fountains and shrines going? Eh? Okay. But by Monday, they're going to be like the best thing you've ever made in 3D, right? Yeah. Okay. That's perfect. Huh? You hope so? Always try to outdo yourself. Remember, past you is a loser, and you're better. That's probably terrible. But try to outdo yourself. Oh yeah.
Now there's columns.
Columns, nice little smooth edges on the. So when kids lean over to take money out of the fountain, they won't get jabbed or cut or anything. You gotta get rid of those sharp edges.
Doing this, they call it the actual columns.
Oh wow, how'd you?
I'm just using a smooth.
Yeah.
So all I did was I doubled the number of rings,
Okay.
and then I extruded in along normals, and then I checked or deselected from that, and I extruded them out, or I scaled it back out, half them back out,
Okay. Yeah.
and then I just merged by distance to.
Yeah. Merge by distance is our friend.
And then I relined up the inside ones until it was smooth kicked in. That's it.
Nice. All right. I'm gonna go back to the other one and try and figure out why that didn't want to work.
It looks nice.
Yeah. Save it. Sure. Why not? Yeah, that's actually important. I love that it's giving us the warning now.
Yeah.
Didn't used to. It'd just be like, you didn't save the image, you're stupid, and then it went away.
You just open it up again like 2 days later.
Yeah, you'd open and be like, where'd my stuff go? Fairly certain I clicked that. Yeah, okay. So what's different in the cycles here versus the other one?
What is it better to have a separate object for detail versus like making it part of the same mesh?
Wait a minute, what?
Let me show you.
Like the high versus the low poly, or like a secondary
So this
piece?
is the notch based option.
Okay. Yeah.
And that could mean circle array.
Yes.
Is it better to do that as its own object, or you should make it as part of the same mesh as the rest of them?
I would make it its own object at that point. Yeah, with that much mirroring and duplication,
Yes.
it's probably going to want its own UV and materials anyway. You can merge it later, but again, these are constraints we don't have to deal with anymore.
Yeah.
So it's fine being separate. And it used to be you couldn't have any textures that weren't like binary, like 512, 1024, 2048. You couldn't have any overlapping geometry. You couldn't have intersecting objects. Like the game engines were very strict. And for the most part, those restrictions are still good advice. They're still good for optimizing, but like, yeah, the engines now just let us do whatever we want. They're like, run at 2 frames per second. We don't care.
So long as all the face are facing right.
Yes, yeah, you do want the faces facing the right direction either way.
Otherwise,
Yeah, the engines won't let you get away with that. But
longer.
Blender will let you lie.
But
Oh, do you know? Yeah, so that's here. Where'd he go?
the face orientation, the way they changed it.
Face orientation. Yes, I like that. Where it's only the red pops now. No, there was another one. I think it's here under the shading. So look at this guy. Here. Back face culling. Now will tell you the truth about your planes.
Wait. Oh,
Yeah, if you turn it on,
that's so nice.
yeah, then you know that something is one-sided or not, or if you're on the inside or the outside.
That's just hidden. Okay.
It only pops in the solid mode,
Of course.
but it's nice, right? So if I add a plane here, he's invisible from the other side, so Blender's no longer lying to us about two-sided faces. Here's another checkbox. So many checkboxes. We love our checkboxes. Will you please just apply something to this? Did it do it? I didn't get a warning. What? What? Do you just hate that? Can we go back to solid mode? Cargo occulting. Nope, this one doesn't like it. Okay, so it just... Freaking weird. I don't know what's wrong. Oh, maybe it's because I have these unapplied modifiers. Let's just apply.
Also, cavity is great.
Oh, love it. Love it. Yeah, I have to have it. Yeah. So it's the unapplied modifiers it didn't like. Okay.
No, cavity's technically also on.
Yeah, but Cavity's telling me a lie I want to hear. Cavity says, your stuff looks good and sharp and pretty.
Beveled.
Yeah. That's odd. I know I applied that to stuff with modifiers on it. It just didn't like that particular modifier on that particular object. Okay, now we know. Cool, cool. That's enough for now.